Okay, I just saw this video came out a few days ago. I've been meaning to check it out, so let's start. This is Preach Gaming. He's been covering WoW for, years and years and years. And I kind of recently discovered him a few years ago. I've been using his UI in Shadowlands when I started playing WoW again, and I enjoy his content. So let's see what he has to say about this. It says, "Can Dragonflight redeem WoW?"
Hi, I'm Mike Lamb, lead game talker on World of Warcraft. Hi, I'm Mike Lamb, lead floor inspector on World of Warcraft. Today, we're here to react to the World of Warcraft Dragonflight reveal of World of Warcraft Dragonflight. I thought you didn't play the game anymore. I don't. So, was there anything in the reveal that might make you play World of Warcraft again? Yes, actually. I see a lot of great potential in many things that were announced. Oh, really? Such as? Well, the ducks, obviously.
The ducks. The
And
ducks.
of course, including the talent trees. Oh, really? It certainly sounds
That's
like...
what I'm most looking forward to, the talent trees. The talent trees actually seem pretty cool, and I haven't had cool talent trees since like Wrath of the Lich King, I think, or whenever they got rid of them. I'm thinking Mists of Pandaria, but the new talent trees are lame, and this new system looks like it could have some potential.
like you have a lot to talk about. So let's go to the video and see what you think. I hope you enjoy.
So uncomfortable.
Okay, we have Dragonflight announced. This was exciting because obviously a lot of us have left the game, and it was time for.
I wonder how many people left. I know like most of my guild left, and we were all like raiders, right? So most of my guild left. I think people have like compared like WoW progress kills between the raids, which is not really accurate, I feel like, because this raid was really difficult. But maybe if you just look at attempts, you could check it out. I'm not too sure, but a lot of people have left. A lot of people have left.
As far as I was concerned, for Blizzard to nut the fuck up and blow everything at the wall and really come out storming the gates, because although there's been lots of drop-off of players over the years, obviously Shadowlands was the worst ever example of that, with a lot of people leaving the game just because of the Shadowlands itself, but also because of the controversy
the worst
as well, which is still ongoing. And
oh yeah, I forgot about the controversy, right? That was crazy too. A lot of people left because of that as well. I forgot about that happened. That was crazy. They haven't had a good year, have they? Terrible expansion. Then you have all these controversies and lawsuits and stuff going on. Everyone's leaving. Oh no. I'm looking forward to the Dragonflight though, because the one upside is I think Amazon bought out Blizzard, right? Or not Amazon, Windows. One of those big companies or some shit, I don't know. But so maybe they can steer them in the right direction now. We'll see.
If World of Warcraft, a game that is my favorite game of all time, obviously, but allowed me to build a career and allowed me to really be here in front of you guys, needed to fucking come back and be the game that we all know and loved, so I could, even for someone like me, could consider wanting to play 10.0. I still have not played the latest patch of World of Warcraft, despite the fact that my friends are doing stuff, and I was...
Yeah, a lot of my guildies got back together with the new patch, the new raid, all the kind of new features and stuff, but I don't have any interest in it, really. They haven't changed enough things yet for me to want to go back to it. And there's still a lot of issues with the game. The systems are still the same, right? It's still the same game pretty much, just with like tier sets and new like Mythic Plus affix or something, and new raid and double legendaries. That's not that much stuff. It's not like a brand new game, new expansion, so I'm not going to be returning to the game at all. I'm done with Shadowlands. I'll be trying the game out, I think, in Dragonflight. That way I can start fresh, start new, and be on the same page as everyone else.
Really hoping to see, give me a reason just to play. That's all. Not to be a content creator for it, but just to play the fucking game. That's all I wanted to see, really. And I had so many expectations going in about what Blizzard could possibly do. So let's talk about what they did do. It is going to be the dragons. No surprise there. The leaks were all there. It was pretty much confirmed. We saw it in the code. Okay,
yeah.
Dragons, that's fine. I do want to say that opening cutscene, Stony Bro, I loved Stonefriend. Stonefriend was awesome. This was a great introduction. I actually didn't think it was going to be dragons until we saw the beacon light. We've seen lots of inspiration.
Yeah, that was a pretty sweet cutscene. Blizzard's so good at their cutscenes.
Embrace a lot of things that were a clear message to me that Blizzard has changed their mindset on so many things and are embracing things that previously they have seen as a thorn in their side. So flying is definitely going to be one of those things, but we'll get there in a sec. So we've got this new race, the Drakthir, and a new class, the Invoker.
I think I'm gonna main the Invoker. Obviously depends on the changes, right? But Hunter, I think I'm gonna retire the Hunter. I've been playing Hunter since forever, since I've been playing the game. It's been my main. Part of me wants to stick with it because I'm like really good at Hunter, and I know Hunter, and I've raided with Hunter. But the specs I don't enjoy, Beast Mastery, and I never play Survival. So, and it's not good. Most of the time, it's not good. Historically, it's pretty good this patch, but historically, it's never been good, right? So, marksmanship is fun for me, but if the other two specs are good, then I don't know. Maybe I might like Survival, so maybe I should give it a try, but the likelihood of it being good are really low. So we'll see. If they change BM, I think I'll play Hunter. But as of now, I'm ready to move on from it. It was really frustrating to raid Mythic with Hunter. It just was really underpowered. Really underpowered, I feel like. So squishy. I remember doing Mythic Sludge Fist, and it was just so hard to stay alive during some parts, and it's just like the class balance was crazy. Boomkins were broke. I don't know if they're still broken, but Boomkins were broken forever. And I was like, they have so many cooldowns, and whereas Hunters have like Turtle and that like 20% damage mitigation for like 6 seconds or whatever that is.
Locked. This was going to be, I think this was going to be, in their minds, the home run swing that they was putting out there, new race, new class. Not sure it met a lot of people that way because it is locked. You can only be a Drakthir Invoker. You will only get 2 specs with it, which is a healer or a ranged DPS. And that's it.
That's the one thing too. I want to main this. I want to play. I really want to get beta. I really want to get beta because I want to try the Drakthir and go like check out the DPS spec because I don't want to heal. If the DPS spec isn't fun, obviously I won't play it, but that's the one downside of it as well. It's like it's only 2 specs. One of them I don't want to play. So I might actually just have to find a different class. We'll see.
A lot of people would definitely, or will be of the mindset is like, I kind of wish I could be a Drakthir warrior, because obviously they seem to get glide passively, because they have wings. Reading into the details on the website, you can manually choose, similar to Worgen, as to be in dragon form, or whether you can be in human form.
Oh, that's cool.
Doesn't seem to be combat linked at all, at least according to the website. You can just be the human form if you want to be, or you want to be the dragon form. No doubt certain spells will turn you, similar to a demon hunter, into dragon form. So we saw that really cool spell, which was the fire breath.
That spell is really cool.
No doubt you do turn into a dragon for that because you need to utilize your wings and then probably pop back into human form when you land. We saw an I-beam, very movable I-beam, similar to the demon hunter coming out there. Personally, my theme of what I'm going to talk about in this video, and a lot of the expectations of the deeper dives that we'll find out as we go forward with World of Warcraft, is go far with it. And I always regale, and I know many of you have seen, the legacy of the Burning Crusade. My final message that I came out with there, my final conclusion to the Burning Crusade, which was Blizzard just fucking went crazy and saw what worked, and then they drew stuff back in, and then they went further with the stuff that was allowed. Go far, because for years and years now, Blizzard has really sort of restrained themselves. They've gone safe, and safe is not that fun. Ultimately.
They haven't been they haven't really had any innovative ideas over the past few years. It's been just the same copy and paste for the most part, and then there's just a new system that's never that really good. So they need to add something new. They need to mix stuff up this expansion.
It's not that fun, it's not crazy, it's not interesting. We're in a fantasy world. Really want to see that. So when you're going to do something like a new race and a new class that is intrinsically linked together, they can't play anything else, I really want them to go crazy with it. And this gives them the opportunity to do that. You can customize this setup very easily because you're not having to accommodate every other class. You're not having to accommodate super weird racial class combinations. You could just make it specific.
That's a good point.
Invoker does and make
that's a good point.
So I want them to go mad with it. I really want to see the dragon theme fully embraced and make that something really engaging, because people who choose to play a Drakthir are only going to be able to play an Invoker. That means that raid spots and stuff are going to be limited. You're not going to take 50 invokers or anything like that. So I hope they make it such an engaging experience.
Maybe not, but maybe.
Zone, thinking back to the original Death Knight zone, that could be really cool, but it's going to be a limited gameplay experience. So it'd be really nice to see them say, okay, very similar to flying in Worlds of Draenor, where they fucked it up, is we're doing this thing, but we want to show you that it can be amazing and how cool this can be. So that in the future, you will embrace us doing things like this. That's why it's important. You will embrace us making a really customized, specific, tailored race to one spec or something like that, because we can go really far with that idea because we're not having to accommodate it into everything else. So
yeah, I feel like with Legion and with a Demon Hunter, I have never really played a Demon Hunter, but I thought they were really cool. You know, and it's the same thing, is you can only be that race as a Demon Hunter, right? You can't be like a Panda Demon Hunter. That would make no sense. So I don't know what people are upset about, you know, not being able to be a Dracthyr Paladin or Warrior or something. It might be pretty cool, but it just doesn't make all that much sense.
I really want to see that with them. Overall, I thought the models were okay. It didn't blow me away. The Evoker class is very interesting. They're introducing, this was one of the big things that I picked.
If you I don't know if you can like increase the I don't know, the build size, I think they could look pretty cool, but all the showcase ones are just like really thin and kind of just like, I don't know, they're missing something. I don't know what it is.
Up on the charge system, the QTE style. We've seen it in a number of games. Obviously, loads of you played Lost Ark recently, but it's been in games forever. Is that you'll be able to hold down a button to charge a spell, and on their website we can see that there's sort of tiers of how a spell will work. So
yeah, this looks interesting. Blizzard doesn't usually have this, right? So it'll be interesting to see how it feels in WoW.
What we can see on the website is a healing AoE spell. It's called Dream Breath or something like that. That has 3 tiers to it. Now, some people initially were worried, as like, oh, doesn't this ruin positioning if I have to like stand still for a while? There's nobody who's not been able to, say, on a Resto Druid, pull off a wild growth and a couple of regrowths, right? It's not going to be that bad, depending on how long.
I mean, you have the casts anyway nowadays, is right?
This, though, and I think would be really cool is that if you've got these 3 tiers of charge, if you fill the first tier, you get the bulk of the benefit from that. That would be cool. So if you're doing an AoE heal, the big heal portion comes out of the first tick, because there are occasions when you just can't stand still and you need to pull off a heal, right? You just need to do it. But then the next tiers add really good benefits if you, one, position correctly, so you're able to pull this thing off, and it's worth holding the button down. Because in World of Warcraft, as we all know, it comes down to, is it worth? Everything is very black and white. So if it's a case of, well, the first tier is the best, the other 2 suck.
People are going to min-max this, right? They're going to go into the rotations like, yeah, you know, only holding it down for the first tick is the best because you want to use your other cooldowns and it's in your rotation and stuff. Meanwhile, like, if the third effect looks really cool, and if it's like trash, like it's all these different colors and stuff and it looks really cool, but the effect isn't good, people aren't going to use it, and it's just going to be kind of a waste, and it's going to feel clunky and bad, and it's just, they need to make it worth holding down, I feel like, to get that third tick.
Then it's not going to be worthwhile. But at the same time, make those other 2 interesting. If it's just range or something like that, though, so if you hold the button down longer, you spread your AoE longer, like, that's not too great. What
they need to be creative with it.
If you hold down the first tier, you get the bulk initial heal of the breath. If you hold down the second tier, maybe you get a heal over time added to that. So that could be beneficial sometimes, not beneficial all the time. And if you manage to hold it down for the entire duration, maybe get a nice haste flourish effect coming at the end, so the hot ticks much faster, so it allows a more prolonged heal over time effect, which is more beneficial in certain encounters, right? We look at something like the Lords of Dread, where you have a really long ongoing AoE phase. It's much more beneficial there to put out a heal over time with then a hasted effect to cope with that. Whereas if it's just a burst of damage, you can actually get away with using the 1 tier. Now you've got a really engaging spell that you can utilize in a number of different ways.
I don't know, though. I don't play healer, so I can't really comment on the healing stuff, but they need to be creative with it, I think, is what he's saying, and I agree.
It's not something like, and this will be a theme in the talent section, I hope it's not something like it bursts healing. If you hold it down for 2, it does more healing, and if you hold it down for 3, it goes further.
It heal more.
Because in most cases, people are either gathered or spread out, and that system doesn't really pay off, and it'd be a little lackluster. I really want to see like some benefits and choices mixed into the idea of charging the spell down, because again, similar to the idea of the race class combo, if they get this right, there is more utilization in other classes for this. If people go, oh, I kind of see where you're going with this, and it makes my spells more interesting, that's really cool.
Yeah,
so we can now see
they could add this stuff.
Bomb, if I hold it down, it manually spreads out into multiple targets. I can pull off something really cool. Maybe
that's a good point. They could make this system work in other classes as well, which would be really cool.
target, so I don't need to do things like that. There's lots of variation that can happen there if the spells actually do something.
Like aim shot could have like a 3 charge system where the first charge is like regular aim shot, second charge is like a pierce effect, so it would go through like a mob for like a small AoE, and then 3 could be like 3 arrows that go in and like have a pierce and bleed effect or something. You know, they could be so creative with it. It'd be hard obviously to make one for each spec, but it's something that they could do.
Interesting as you charge them up, so I really want to see that. And the Evocus class looks interesting, something to check out. Again, this is the temptation. You want to come back and you want to try it out. It's got some new features. Let's see how that goes. Now, we talked about the one zone that the Draktyr is going to get for the leveling zone. There's going to be 5 zones in total, so which means there's only 4 zones at the end for the 10 levels that people are picking up. I kind of wish they'd gone with 5 levels. I don't think...
How much did Shadowlands have? I don't even remember. I think they had 4, right? Because they had the main city and the hub, the main hub city, Oribos, and then you had 4 around you, I think?
It's worth after...
Revendreth, Fairy Tale Island, Maldraxxus, and then Bastion, right? I think that's all of them. And the mod doesn't count. The mod doesn't count.
Revamp, bloating out the levels again. In order to create that separation, 5 levels is enough. It worked in the past. It was fine. I know some people were like, oh, it feels like we're getting less content because there's only 5 levels. I mean, I don't know. I don't think it particularly matters in my case, but for me anyway. But 10 levels, 4 zones to get through them. And what they're saying is these are going to be very, very large zones. So a few things.
Okay.
They're making them very large because dragon riding's a thing, and they're going to give you that really early in the expansion. Seemingly, they're going to give you the ability to fly. There's no Pathfinder. We've had that confirmed in one of the instances.
Thank God. Oh my God.
Dragon Isles.
It was so nice in Shadowlands to get flying really quick through the renowned system, but in the past expansions, they've made it so hard for you to learn flying. I remember coming back to the game at the end of BFA, the last patch, and it took me like several weeks to get flying. It was so, and it wasn't fun. It was just like going to Mecha Gnome and all these islands I've never even cared for really, and doing dailies and stuff.
So it will be a case of you'll get flying pretty early. That's allowed them to go back to a more Wrath of the Lich King, Burning Crusade model where they embrace the fact that people are going to be flying. Thank Jesus for this one.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes.
They have hated flying for so long, even though it's definitely coming, and they've treated it as this red-headed stepchild that constantly mithers them and wants to stab them in the ribs at some point, and it's like, oh God, and they're eventually going to have to fly, and they're not going to play around in our zones, and it's going to be really shit. Now they're saying, thankfully, the message I've been putting out for goddamn years is like, stop treating it badly, instead embrace it and do something cool with it. So obviously with the Dragon Isles, it's going to be a case of the verticality is going to be important, and they've said that. They're very vertical zones and very large. Now, I will say that all the screenshots they showed of the largeness, and in the presentation, they said they had to introduce a greater draw distance, so you could see the scale of the Dragon Isles.
I'm excited for that.
Make sure there's stuff in it, because none of the screenshots you showed are any good. And any RPG player out there who's watching this has played games with massive zones that have just got nothing in them. And you're just kind of wandering through vast open spaces with like a few mobs wandering around. And you're like,
ducks.
Why is this so huge? This is actually just really
the ducks. That's why I'm coming back, is for the ducks.
Now, dragon riding looks cool. Let's come back to that in a second. But if the zones are just big, empty wastelands for the most part, that ain't that fun. And Elden Ring would probably be the prime example of this. Elden Ring is fucking massive, but there is something every 20 yards. That's what's so mind-blowing about the world exploration in that game, is you can barely go around...
I might play this later today. We'll see. I'm like in a weird spot, but Elden Ring is crazy because I was exploring the top, and I've just started to come down to the underground areas, and even now, even the underground areas are huge too.
A pathway,
it's crazy.
A road, bob off into a forest without finding a giant dungeon, some sort of boss enemy, some sort of prison that takes you down into some ethereal realm, something that transports you to an entirely different part of the world. There's something near enough every 30 meters in that game, despite its size, and it's just so much stuff. And you kind of want to do it all, and it's really fun. I hope this is not a case of, hey, look how big our zones are. You just have to ride further.
Just like rocks everywhere.
That's not going to be that fun. So I really hope they do stuff with that and they utilize the verticality in a great way.
I thought Shadowlands was pretty good though. I thought Shadowlands was good with their like, you know, their zones. They were really good, and even just like the small stuff you could get, you know, with just like certain stuff. That one mount you can get. I think I forget what it was. It was like a frog or something. But you get like this cool mount if you brought like the seed to the zone at a certain time, and just like small stuff like that. I think the zones were really good in Shadowlands, except Maldraxxus. I didn't really like too much, but other than that, they were all pretty good. Bastion was good, and then the fairy people were good, and then the other one was really good too.
Dragon riding, coming back to it. I really hope they go far with this. So when they showed dragon riding, obviously very similar to Guild Wars 2, almost identical to Guild Wars 2, which is fine, by the way. There was a big message, and this will come into the professions, that I was seeing in my live audience.
Is this Guild Wars 2 footage?
This time. It's like, oh, they're borrowing this in that game. That's fine. It really is.
Yeah.
If your competitor is doing something that works so well that people love it, not...
This actually looks really fun. This looks like it would be more engaging to fly. I hope they don't spend like too many resources on it. I think it's gonna be fun, don't get me wrong, but I think after like a month it's just gonna be like, yeah, whatever.
Being inspired and iterating on that yourselves is
It depends
stupid.
though. If they add like, if it works really well, if they add it to like other mounts, you know, besides your dragon, like if you can do this on all kinds of different mounts, and maybe each mount type has like a different feel to it, you know, like it's a different vehicle or something, that could be pretty cool. They could be, again, really creative with this. If they just like copy Guild Wars 2 and add like a different touch to it, maybe that would work well, but you know, we'll see. It's Blizzard.
It's just dumb is to be like, well, we're not going to do it because they've done it. It's not the way this works.
That's how Blizzard was always successful. They just copy everybody else and perfect it. Like,
not the way this works.
It's not a big deal.
Totally fine to go, what are they doing that's so right? Okay, can we improve on that? Can we iterate on that? Can we do something that makes it better? And if so, let's bring it into our product as well, right? It's the same thing. You do think that like tooth whitening toothpaste was made by one company and everyone else was like, well, we can't do tooth whitening toothpaste. No, of course not. Everyone was like, well,
yeah,
we need to do
that's how
toothpaste now because everybody else is doing it.
Become competitive.
Because otherwise, we're just being stupid and giving all the business to those guys.
Exactly.
That's how it goes, right? So that's a very normal thing. So with the dragon riding, looks cool, looks fun. Chris in the office, he was fine with just being a cosmetic fun thing to goof around with. Personally, again, coming back to that TBC conclusion, show me what you can do with this now. Right, we've got this momentum and we can glide, and we've got a talent tree that comes with it at the end, and all this.
Oh, I didn't know there was a talent tree to it. That could be really cool, actually.
Cool. What can we do with that in the Dragon Isles? Are we going to have races? Are we going to have things that you have to really swim through with dragon races? Are we going to be able to go through like aerial bombardments where we can use these barrel rolls and maneuvers in order to get ourselves through? Something.
They could, if they like, I just thought about this. You know how like in Wrath, you know that Malygos fight where you're on that mount and it's like, even back then I didn't enjoy that raid. It was just like, whatever. It wasn't engaging, just like hitting like 2-3 buttons. But the theme of it was cool, right? Everyone's on their dragon. You got different kinds of dragons. You got a healer dragon, you got the DPS dragon, I think maybe the tank dragon or something. If they can like implement this into like maybe a raid boss or like a dungeon boss in these Dragonflight expansion, you know, that would be really cool if they incorporated it for maybe 1 or 2 encounters.
Fun to do with this, because so many times in World of Warcraft we've had a new feature come in and it's like the premise or the early structure of what could be cool, and I always talk about potential like we did in the Shadowlands, and then they don't go anywhere with it. They just kind of stop there. Like they hadn't thought, we thought about step 1, what we didn't think about was what was step 10 going to be, and we just kind of left it at step 1. So your warfronts, your island expeditions, all those things are like, okay, here's the premise, is we'll have warfronts where we'll do this battle, and it never went past that. It's like, okay, well, what cool things can we do with this now? We've got this new system, we've got this technology, we've got this feature. Where can we
really
go
hope
with it?
they
What
like.
crazy things can we do with it? And
I really hope the alpha and beta test they just like really spend their time and make sure that all the effort they're putting into is a final complete product, right? Because these systems in the past they come out with, you know, they probably spend so much time and money and effort creating, but they end up just not being a good product, and they just usually need to take a few changes to make them a good product. But at the time they fix it, it's like a year into the expansion.
really
No one wants to do it.
So they did mention on their website there are going to be features, there's going to be something involving it, whether that is just something along the lines of extra maneuvers that you can unlock. So you kill the last raid boss and you gain the ability to do a double barrel roll or something like that. Hope it's not that. Hope they look at what they did with like Netherwing eggs and the Burning Crusade, where we did have dragon races. They did that all those years ago, and those of you who've been playing TBC Classic will know all about it. Is they did introduce dragon races
I never did
all
this.
that time ago. Okay. They had in BFA, if you did the Bastion Zone, they had the quests where you could ride the dog griffin things through rings and things like that to unlock extra stuff. Okay, well, let's go further with that. You already have the technology for that. Let's see what cool stuff we can
have
do
the
with Dragon Riders to
technology.
make me engage with the system. Because if it's just a case of paint your own dragon, fine. But it can be
Exactly.
so much more. And you can see the
Exactly.
potential effort for being so much.
It was like, yeah, you have a few controls, you can customize your dragon, and that's it. Really cool at launch, really cool, and then over time, after like a month, it just seems like whatever, you know.
More. So really hope they go that way. Coming back to the zones a little bit, reputations, they kind of hinted at it. It very much looks similar to very classic Warcraft style. Is each zone will have a reputation to farm. They've talked about it in interviews as well, where you will then unlock more stuff within that. That's fine. Not really seeing anything along the
I just hope it's cross character or account wide stuff, because I'm not gonna grind all this multiple times, you know, on each character.
lines of Warlords of Draenor, where we got zone abilities and things that were really fun to mess around with. We can ride wolves, we can call in some troops and things like that. It would have been nice. Maybe they will go that way. It's like, can we summon in dragons and things like that? But here's what it is. There's always going to be some classic World of Warcraft stuff. We can pie in the sky. We can do another video where we kind of pie in the sky kind of crazy ideas and how far some of these ideas can go. We might do that. Now, let's talk about professions. So professions have been ignored for so fucking long that it's just painful, especially if you
Professions haven't been, like, I think, relevant since Wrath of the Lich King.
And yes, if you've played the FF14 game and done their professions, it's like astronomically better.
I still haven't done any professions in Final Fantasy 14, but I might try them out. I know they're like actually good, and like the gear they can craft and stuff's relevant.
There's no two ways about it. They're a full class. You literally change your class to being a profession, and they're clearly drawing some inspiration for that. There's going to be profession transmogs. You're going to be able to put up these bounties, these commissions for people. Looks like
I'm not super excited for this. You know, I really don't care about professions. It's a side thing for me, and it's usually just like there to get your extra bonus so I can raid and min-max my character a little bit more. But if they make them a little bit more engaging, I think it could be cool. And I think a lot of people in the community are interested in this stuff.
Going back to a more Burning Crusade style model, which is that profession loot will be relevant up until the top raid tiers, which looks like to me, I'm seeing primals in the screenshots they're showing primals. So anybody who's
Okay, this is good. Yes, I do like when professions are relevant. That's when they're more engaging, because usually now the past few expansions has been get to max profession, and then maybe it's good for like pre-raid best in slot, but then after that it's useless throughout the rest of the expansion unless you want to like craft them out, craft potions, or just like make money, you know.
who's played TBC Classic or the original will be very familiar with this. You're building your spellfire sets, you're building your belts of blasting, and you will know that certain ingredients only come from certain places. So if you're getting a really good piece of raid gear, so if you've done Sunwell, you'll know about the moats and things like that, is that yes, a lot of the ingredients can be found in the open world, but there's an ingredient that only comes from, say, bosses or from trash within a very high endgame raid tier, which will then allow you to build and construct these items. Now, typically those items were bind on equip, especially a lot of the later stuff. Originally they were BOP, but that's changing now because you can make commissions where they can craft BOP things, but they can send it back to you via the commission system. So that should work out really well. So I could definitely already see certainly the higher raid guilds. Hopefully they'll introduce this into PvP. Hopefully they'll introduce this into open world as well.
Yeah.
People who are dedicated.
That'd be cool for PvP if they can do that too. If you can craft like PvP items with this.
Down those endgame paths, is you'll be able to say, I want, say,
I wonder how like the you know, the top guilds like Liquid and you know, the European guilds and all them like abuse this. You know, they're gonna find loopholes within this and they're just gonna like abuse it, and they're gonna just like craft all their sets or something like that. They're gonna have to make sure that it's like pretty honed down.
belt of blasting, which is my example because you needed you needed a primal or a nether vortex, I think, that came from Tempest Keep, which was a raid in the Burning Crusade. So you could send your commission off to the raid guilds or somebody who is getting that gear, and they will have access to those resources, and then they can build it and send it back to you, rather than you having to be in a raid guild to get potentially this BIS item. So they're going that way. Again, there's a lot of potential to go further with that. I could talk about professions forever. It was one of the biggest subjects I wanted to discuss with Blizzard about 3 years ago when I was going up to their offices. But I didn't get there for because of reasons. But I didn't get there, and it was one of the things I want to talk about. Talent trees. This was the big one for me.
Yeah,
so
me
we've had it
too.
confirmed in the game
I'm excited for
there's
talent
going to be
trees.
no borrowed power systems in Dragonflight. Oh, praise Jesus. Tier sets are
Yes.
staying, which is fine. They are technically borrowed power, but they're in a fun way because you're definitely getting those iterated.
No
on
more
as you go forward.
renown.
But there's going to be no borrowed power systems. Thank the gods.
Yeah, I can't. I'm so happy. I don't think I've ever played I've never played an expansion. Well, Wrath, Lich King, and Burning Crusade didn't have it, and I didn't really play Burning Crusade. I kind of leveled up during the Burning Crusade, and then Wrath came out, but I don't think Wrath had it. But I think every other expansion did. Or I know Legion, maybe the sort of Legion that they came out with. I don't think Cataclysm had one. I don't remember. But I'm just happy there isn't any of that crap going on, because it's not fun. It's never good. It makes it super hard to balance the game. It's way too overly complicated, and it's just not enjoyable for developers, I feel like, or for the players.
So they're going to iterate on systems we've already seen before. We'll see where that goes, but I'm gonna take the message no borrowed power in a good way, and they're going back to the talent trees, which is something we've discussed for years and years. Is the talent trees have just been so abandoned for so long for no reason, and for no justifiable logical reason, other than their focus has entirely been on making different systems to bolt onto it. And like the talent system's there, that's great, but let's make the Azerite system, let's make the artifact weapon system, let's make the fucking corruption system, let's bolt all these things on top of it.
Yeah.
And add on.
They just add way too many layers that make it super complicated for them to balance everything, and it can be simple if they just create talent trees, and that's about it.
Onto that, while the simple talent system, which many people understand is really useful and really good, has just been left to rot. So they're drawing all that back in and then building into a talent tree and returning to the idea that you get a point when you level that you can invest in there and allowing some hybridity. Now, the best thing about this that I saw is loadouts, because the biggest feedback I see from a lot of the casual player base is they absolutely detest changing talents. I don't know why. I think it adds the flavor and fun to your spec.
Yeah, I don't really mind. I mean, granted, I wasn't changing talents too much, but I know. Actually, yeah, in Shadowlands I was, because each raid boss, and at least when I was raiding in Castle Nathria, it's like, do I need to AoE this fight? Do I need single target? Do I need cleave, Do I need to heal? Do I need movement speed? If if I'm cutting the seeds and stuff for that other boss. So I was changing talents quite a lot, actually, and it was fun, because it made each fight a little bit different, how I would play.
As allowing your spec to play in a slightly different way. A spec that you're already comfortable with can be played in some slightly different ways, and that adds a lot of variety of spice and flavor to your class. But typically speaking, historically, most people go to a website or they go to a YouTube video, they copy, or they ask a raider and they go, what is your talent setup? And they copy it.
Well, one size doesn't fit all, right? The way I would do it, I would look at Warcraft logs and look at the specs, and you can do this now. If you just go to Warcraft logs, look at the top DPS, whatever for your spec is, or healers or whatever, and look at their talent setup. It's going to be different on other different fights. It's not just one size fits all. So I do enjoy switching up talents, and I hope they kind of keep that a thing in this expansion.
Should allow a lot more flexibility and not be a hindrance. So it doesn't look like you'll need some sort of weird tome or glyph or anything. You can just swap your talent setup on the.
That's good, because that was one annoying thing about it. You had to pay a lot of gold for those tomes. And they had the guild one, right? You had to get that that tome you could buy, so everyone could stand around it and change it. But you shouldn't have to do that. I don't know why they make it hard for you to switch your spec. I'm excited for this system. I'm so excited. I hope it's good. I hope it's unique. I want to get into the beta. Give me the alpha.
Predetermined. So you can have, and they used a Resto Druid as the example here. You can have the Mythic Plus one. You can have the Mythic Plus Bursting one, the Mythic Plus Tyrannical one, the Mythic Plus Fortified one. You can have the AoE Raid one. You can have the single target focused one, and you can customize this based on who you're playing with. So
I wonder how many loadouts they're gonna give you. Hopefully it's like an unlimited amount, but I can see them being kind of cheeky. It's like, okay, there's 3 you have here. If you want to get a new one, you have to spend $5. Please don't do that. Please,
so
Blizzard.
If you're a raid and you're with more single target orientated healers, like Holy Paladins or something, for example, then you can then go, okay, well, I'm more spread out. Perhaps I need more mobility when I'm healing. So I can customize my talent setup to be more mobile. I have a lot more stuff that I can do on the move, or am I going to be more stationary here and need to pump a lot of HPS numbers? Then I can put it out. Also does prevent the biggest fear that I talked about for months coming up, is that with all the borrowed power systems and every expansion they take them away, they did address this directly, is not removing stuff. I was honestly dreading like the legendary Ring of the Convoker for druids. I was dreading it because Convoke the Spirits has now become such an iconic and fun spell that people don't want to see it go. People are already really salty that things like Soul Shape and Venthia Teleport are going away. That losing these spells that you find really cool, not everybody got a really cool spell with their Covenant choices, but some did, like Divine Toll for the Prot Paladins. I imagine most Prot Paladins can't imagine ever playing the game without Divine Toll at this point. And if
that's true. Like the game would feel, even after switching to a different Covenant, not having wild spirits and my my movement skill, it just felt kind of weird because I was playing that for months, right? So it probably feels bad for a lot of players when they just change everything and remove a lot of these skills that they've come to like.
Some of their other choices, depending on your class, that you would want to see. So now we can see they are built into the talent tree, and that will allow them to say, oh, that's cool, let's bring that into the talent tree, and we don't have to add on a new system where we don't need some fucking Azeroth necklace or something to add more fun to the game. We can put it into the talent tree, and it's now a choice. And the way they've done that is kind of interesting, is we can see the end game talents are actually split. I like this. They're split. So you, one of these things they showed, it wasn't in the slides that they did for the art box, but it was in the video, in the deep dive they did afterwards, is that you would have a choice of, say, Convoke the Spirits for a Druid or Incarnation. So you can have both now, which is always the kind of like, annoying part, but now you can choose between them. So you would have
that's really cool,
where you can really customize. It's like, do I need to have this like bursty effect, or do I want to be able to put out some more consistent healing? Good choices. And if they make it very, very simple in order to swap these, if that loadout is literally, you can ideally tie it to gear sets, would love to see that. So if you put on your more Mythic
that would be so nice. They should do that. They should do that.
Plus focused gear set, your talent system automatically changes to a certain loadout.
I'll also cast that.
10 out of 10. But if it is
they
a
should
drop
copy
down
Last
menu
Ark.
that you can just be like, this is I'm going Mythic Plus now. I click myself. Because even the most casual players can easily set up like 3 of them. You will have the hardcore of the hardcore who have like 10 different talent setups, depending on each of the customizations they want on a fight-by-fight PvP basis. They will have all those things. That's fine too, but for your general...
especially if you're playing like different specs, you know? Then you could have a lot, I feel like.
Your general
you could have a lot.
Who's like, I just want a decent healing setup for dungeons and maybe a slightly different one for doing raiding and pug raiding, whatever it is I want to do. That's fine. I can have 2 setups for that, or maybe I do a bit of PvP. That's kind of my PvP setup. Whereas other guys are going to be able to like really customize their character on an encounter by encounter basis, which is great because that allows the flexibility between the high end and the lower end as well to get everything they want. I personally was a big fan of the talent revamp when it happened in Mists of Pandaria, but as we said earlier in this video, it then just got abandoned and left in the dust. There are talents that were sitting in that talent tree, the talent rows that we've had for so many years now, that were just dead for years. They just never got addressed, while all the focus went into some other obscure system that they were strapping on for the expansion. And it's like, wow.
Plus, it never felt good, like leveling up, because you had only get a level, or you get to pick a skill like every like 15 levels or 5 levels or something like that. And it's just like, the leveling used to be like enjoyable because each level you got, your character just got a little bit stronger, you know?
Why don't you just fix the talent system? Honestly, it's just sat there. It's really good. It's really easy to use. I don't understand why you're not bothering with this. One thing I will say about the talent trees is there are a few things to keep an eye out for, which I hope they don't do. Similar to what I said with the Evoker charge system, is there are a few things that have multiple tiers of them, that have pictures like Life Bloom in them, that have pictures like Wild Growth in them. I really hope, similar to the Evoker and that charge system, is that they are not just like increases the healing of Wild Growth by 2% and 4%. and things like that. That is exactly why you got rid of this talent tree system in the first place.
Yeah, that's gonna be hard, but like I feel like there's gonna be a lot of skills like that. Increases damage by 5% per point. But maybe if you max it out, you know, adds a different effect. They need, like, these skill trees look cool, talent trees look cool, but like, make them creative, make them change your skills, make them change something about your skills, because just doing like flat more damage or healing is not gonna be like super engaging, right?
All these talents in there that were like, well, I have to take that, and it's not fun to be like, well, of course I'm going to be using wild growth, so I absolutely have to buff that up. So what I'm hoping for is similar to the evoker system. Perhaps your wild growth has a shorter cooldown because I need to AoE heal more often. Perhaps my wild growth can be cast on the move if I invest those points in them. Make those choices matter sometimes, but
I agree.
not matter other times. That is how you make a talent system fun, and why loadouts then make life much better. We talked about a high mobility healing setup. Okay, so in this one, I do have those points in Wild Growth, so I can cast Wild Growth on the move. That's fantastic. However, I only need that for like 2 out of 3 fights in the new Dragon Raid or whatever it might be, so I don't need it here, in which case...
If they did something like this, that would make each fight, because usually raids are very different. You have like your, especially now, I think there's kind of, you know, you have like your huge tank boss where you just have the max damage, you can like stand still, like with Sludge Fist kind of, and you have like your high movements bosses, right? So if they do this, I could see myself having at least like 3 or 4 different trees just for one raid, and that would make the game incredibly fun because each playstyle would be different, you know?
I can put my points into something else. Perhaps I can put them into a better cultivation, a better germination.
If the spec would play differently and everything, the potential here is huge.
Whatever it might be, something along those lines, so that I can really feel like I'm making meaningful choices. And I'm not saying that ironically, I genuinely mean that, is I can make these meaningful choices along with this talent setup, and I can build my character around what my team and what the encounter designs of me, and that means that I can have a lot of fun with it. So that's basically my feedback here. It's really overall super positive. Like, everything here was good, and everything here has potential. Now, I did say that about Shadowlands. Everything there had potential. The Covenants had massive potential.
I think the Shadowlands problem is just lack of content, and then they just made the systems a little too of a hindrance, and then the mod was annoying, so your solo daily content sucked. Torghast was just like not thought through that well, so that sucked too. And then the legendary system was kind of stupid too, because you'd have to recraft it depending on what kind of items you got, and that was just in the first 2 patches. I haven't played 9.2, so there's probably loads of other things, right? But that's kind of the things that stand out to me the most as to why Shadowlands has kind of been unsuccessful.
The Torghast had massive potential. We never saw that potential realized. They are saying in the interviews they had that it's ready when it's ready. There's no announced date of when it's coming out. They're not trying to rush it out the door. So that means there's going to be a lot of iteration. I think we will do some sort of like pie in the sky, what I'd like to see, just as a bit of fun more than anything. We'll do that probably next week or so. And just really have fun with this. But overall, I'm pretty excited about where they're going with this. There's so much here that could turn into something amazing. Just from a few things.
I'm excited. I'm really excited.
They didn't reveal much.
I want to get into the beta.
Most people are using add-ons now. This would be great. It's still needed doing. That's fine.
The UI is like cool. It's not going to change much. I hope they don't spend too much effort on this and too much time, because add-ons are always going to be a thing, and you know, people are just really good at creating add-ons that are good for UI design. So, I mean, just look at LUI, for example. I don't know why the UI changes. Yeah, I think it's important. It's nice, especially for newer players who are coming to the game, who don't use add-ons and stuff. But overall, for the vast majority of players, I don't know if this is going to change too much.
But it's not going to affect most players, I don't think. So in general, overall, really cool. Just want to see where the next step is, and that will be... And typically the way this goes is they're obviously not going to release anything on the announcement that could be perceived as a negative. Their big risk was the class race lockdown of the Dracthea Evoker. Over the next few months, we'll start to feel out the details, like the bits and bobs, because no mention of any sort of grindy system. And Blizzard does like their renown systems, their artifact systems, their Azerite systems. You know, they do like those things to gate people off. or slow people down. My biggest request is this, as this trailer kicked in, my biggest thing I was hoping for is, like, I really hope they ditch the idea of punishing the people who play their game regularly and reward the people who join at the later stages. Because that's how a lot of the catch-up and all those systems and all those mandatory time-gating systems felt. Is like, you felt like a moron if you were playing the game at launch, because the guys who turned up, like, even 4 or 5 weeks later just had a significantly easier time, didn't have to grind for trickles and little breadcrumbs of rewards that they were shipping out to you on a daily basis, where you're grinding
That's true.
anima for like a couple of hundred here and there. Whereas the people who joined
That's
later,
how the renown
like,
system
I can
was.
just get like everything in a couple of weeks. And the longer you stayed away, the better off you were, because that's how a lot of the systems felt. So far, it doesn't look that way, and I'm kind of excited for the future, because I want a game I can play. Of course I want to play it. Like, I might not be the big content creator for it anymore, but yeah, I still want to fucking play, just as I did when I stopped making the content. All right, so that's my thoughts. We'll have more for you in a couple of days. Bye, guys.
Lead WoW talker. Oh no, this is gonna be a while, Chris. Let's strap in for this. This is so scripted. I hate it.
Oh, that was a good video. I like that. That was a good video. I agree with pretty much everything he has to say. I'm not really caring about the profession stuff, but you know, I think a lot of players are gonna like that. And overall, I am really excited. I can't wait. I want to get to the beta, and I want to be seeing more and more news about this expansion.